Hello, my name is Tony Chan, reporting for TelecomTV. Today with me is Gin Atkinson, who is the Vice President of Network Strategy and Architecture for KVH, I believe, one of the pioneers in SDN in the telco space. So Gin, thanks very much for coming and talking to us. So what does SDN kind of mean for you in terms of opportunity?
Well, we see that it's a chance to give our customers greater flexibility, freedom, and control over their services. And it's also an opportunity for KVH to generate new service revenues based on creating much more exciting connectivity and cloud-oriented services, all tied together with SDN.
Okay. So with SDN, I mean, do you think it kind of brings fundamental changes to your business model, to your business operations?
It definitely does. The big thing that we've experienced, especially trying to pull SDN into the WAN, is that it allows us to be more agile and put a lot more flexibility and control onto the services. So now customers can have elastic bandwidth. Customers can have access to a larger number of routes across the network at different points in time. So if they want a low latency route for a short period of time or for certain times during trading day, for example, they can get that. And then if they want cheap, reliable bandwidth, they can get that at a different time of day. So adding a lot of elasticity and flexibility to services that were traditionally very rigid, this is something we're expecting out of SDN. And then the last part is being able to do service mashup, service chaining, and tie different kinds of connectivity services together, like layer 3, layer 2, layer 0, and bolt in other cloud services on the edge of that connectivity.
Right. Have you looked at some of the tangible, data points in terms of tangible benefits for both KVH and your customers? I mean, you mentioned kind of flexible bandwidth provisioning. I mean, do you have a comparison between how long it took to actually provision a circuit before and now, I'm assuming?
Absolutely. So DCNet is a good example. It's built, it's our first service that's trying to use SDN in the WAN. And with DCNet, we're bringing up 100 data centers onto DCNet. We're putting POPs into these data centers. And then a customer is just simply a cross-connect away from having connectivity across all 100 of those data centers. Inside DCNet, they'll be able to access, for example, other service providers and access whatever cloud services they're offering in different data centers, or they could access their trading partners, or they could access their own data centers and servers and other facilities. So this is literally just a cross-connect away, taking the provisioning time from order to fulfillment from weeks down to a couple days.
And for KVH itself, I mean, you're seeing customer growth in this area in terms of revenue and growth, yes?
We're seeing a lot of growth. One area where we're having a lot of success is with 100 gig service and 10 gig service. So a lot of over-the-top players that are coming to APAC, especially in Japan, they're looking towards our 100 gig service. And then inside the data center, we're seeing that customers want to get out of a data center and reach other data centers using 10 gig service. And they want to tie these services together as a fully managed network service that looks like a simple, inexpensive cloud connectivity service, but still has the feeling of a managed network service with white glove service behind it.
Okay. Okay. So what do you think of OpenFlow in terms of enabling carrier-grade services?
It's a great start, but not carrier-grade yet. For example, with OpenFlow, we're able to control how flows are provisioned, but what's missing is all of the resources underneath that flow. There's a lot more work being done towards supporting transport, but again, what does a topology look like? What are all the resources that are allocated to the end-to-end service? How do we do multi-point connections? This is the area where OpenFlow has a lot more development to go towards, and also integrating with other standards such as OpenStack and MEF-based services. A big area we're interested in is seeing how OpenFlow will support dynamic Ethernet from the MEF.
Right. So last question is, since you're already doing SDN on the WAN and kind of within the carrier space, where do you see SDN and the telco industry going in maybe 2 to 5 years time?
2 to 5 years. The 5 years is we should definitely see a lot of good progress if everyone stays committed to the architecture. There's a lot that needs to be done for carrier grade. What role is OpenFlow going to play in the restoration of a service? If I'm only going to put intelligence at the very edge, just one layer of switches, and then delegate everything else to the network control plane, then clearly there's a benefit of putting intelligence and flexibility at the service edge. So there's a better customer experience there, but we haven't transformed the network end to end and the inside. So is OpenFlow going to be a facade on top of a network infrastructure to give intelligence and service capability to the customers and the user? Or is SDN going to reach into the WAN and across multiple layers change and transform the network so that we have vertical slice network capability and we can create a slice of a private network from layer 3 all the way down to layer 0? I think we're seeing individual vendors, Infinera and Ciena are 2 great examples. They're doing great work on SDN, transport SDN, SDN in the optical network. Ciena is doing a great deal of work on packet optical. We want to see these network services and infrastructure converging, and SDN has a great role. But how OpenFlow is going to do it, you need a lot more development work on the standard, and you need vendors and users to make open source contributions so that we have implementations of OpenFlow available to work with.
But do you think some of these capabilities, when they come on board, when Ciena makes their SDN, optical, and Infinera as well, when all these technologies are implemented, is it going to change like the telco business, like yourself? I mean, do you see everyone being able to provide kind of dynamic provisioning and
Nearly everyone, I hope. So I think the most important thing we need much greater agility so that we can adapt. We, the service provider, can adapt the network very quickly and evolve it in very little time, and make these changes in a very safe and reliable way. Then the other thing is, once we have the safety, reliability, and flexibility in the network, then we can allow the customer to start changing the behavior of their network services. So I think it's going to enable new classes of connectivity services that are very cloud intelligent, cloud aware, cloud application aware. But definitely we're talking about a tremendous amount of infrastructure now, including orchestration, SDN controllers. We need path computation. We need topology services to understand the relationship between network resources and services. But when this all gets there, providers will be able to move a lot faster and launch new products that are much more creative and innovative than what we have today with more static network connectivity services.
Okay. Thank you very much again for joining us.